guys, and welcome back to my channel! As we know, many forms of work, including the arts, have been affected by Covid-19. And although some things are getting better, it is still really difficult to operate, especially with the social distancing measures and the masks and all that jazz. So today, I have brought together some of the most amazing artists and musicians I know to discuss how COVID has affected them and their music or art or dance form, and also the opportunities and positives that have come out of COVID. So let's meet them.
I am Hugo. I'm a violinist, violist and a composer, and I was at Purcell School for sixth form, and that ended year 13 quite abruptly. But I'm looking forward to going on to study art at the Ruskin School of Arts next year. So I'm keeping music going. I'm also a filmmaker, and that is very interlinked with what I do, and a painter. And yes, just been keep going during this time, keeping busy.
Great. Enya?
Hi, I'm Enya, and I'm a violinist, and I play the viola as well, but not very often. And I play the piccolo and the piano, and I'm also a dancer as well. And I went to the RCMJD, which is where I met Adele. And in September, I'm going to be studying at Trinity Laban as well. And yeah, I think that's it really.
Great. Danushka?
Yeah, hi, my name's Danushka. I'm a cellist, just finished year 13, and I'm going on to study at the academy from next year. Grown up in Loughborough, might not have heard of that, but I had a really good music education actually, which then helped me to get to the Royal Academy Junior Department and the NYO as well. So yeah, that's me.
Great stuff. I feel like I should introduce myself because it'd be a bit lost. So I'm Adele. This is my channel, so you already knew that. I am a cellist actually, and to make by myself. I play the cello often because I enjoy it. Right, let's move on. So the first question I had for you guys was how do you think COVID has affected your creativity in terms of music and how you play and portray it? I know that's like a weird
Well, I
question.
mean, I can start with one thing. I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing that I hadn't done at all before was editing videos. Because obviously, we haven't been able to play in person. So I've done a few ensemble things, which has been quite nice, and that was a skill I never had before, which has been quite nice to try and kind of, get used to doing that kind of stuff, because I know, you never know when that will become useful. So I mean, just stuff like little multi-tracks of certain chamber works has been really fun to do. Yeah.
Fantastic one with your quartet that I saw.
Quintet.
Quintet. Your
Yes.
piano. Yes, I
Piano
saw,
quintet,
saw
yeah.
that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
I think if anything, it's shown me how much I miss playing with others. Because obviously it's been wonderful to be able to play virtually and, like you said, like mesh loads of recordings together and everything. But I think it's really just shown me how much I rely on chamber music and everyone else as a source of inspiration for my own creativity and everything. But yeah.
I think it's difficult because I think the playing together is the thing I've missed most, and the fact that it's a form of communication, and there's no way. I mean, even digitally, I realised at the start of it, I was asked to do a lot of these projects, and you kind of go from one to the next, and you're playing all these kind of second, first violin parts or viola parts, kind of with headphones, and everyone thinks you're mad as you're kind of ticking along. And it's good, but it's no way is it the same. And it's been really difficult, and also to motivate practice, I found, and to actually get up in the morning and to think, I'm going to spend 3 hours. You can't maintain that concentration because it's just not plausible, because you don't have the fact is that I think, especially as musicians, it's such a unique way of communicating and socializing. And the energy that gives us and that we give other people and we share, and it's so powerful and beautiful and unique and singular. I've really missed that. And actually been very lucky because my brother, who's a conductor, did one of the first live music events in the country the other week with his ensemble, the Echo Ensemble, and I got to play in that. And very weird because we were so spaced out locally in North London where we live. And it was very strange, but it was wonderful to get back together and kind of doing little things socially distanced now. And you realise how much you missed it, but also my fear that we'd stop, everything would go digital and we'd have no more actually live things going on, which was my fear at the start of COVID. You realise how much the world generally has missed live music and live events and engaging and interacting with things in the flesh, and how special that is. So I'm really pleased about that at the moment, that we are not getting rid of going completely electronic, which was the danger, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I have to admit, I agree with all of you guys. You've raised some really interesting and incredible points, and I think it also has shown me how much it's made me appreciate more being able to play with others, because you can have these little blessings and you can take them for granted. I personally really love ensemble music, and playing with others, I loved it, but I didn't appreciate it as much. Whereas now, because I can't meet people and I can't play with them, there are little things like someone smiling at you during a piece that you really miss. When you're recording, you just see the camera, you're like, oh no! And so being able to like smile at others and feel encouraged and then have them encourage you on stage as well as during practice is also something great.
I'm Emily, or just M is fine. I sing. I don't know about a bio, to be honest.
Awesome. So yes, great. Everybody's met everybody. So the second question I wanted to ask you guys was, what are some of the things that you miss about being able to play music with others in orchestra or an ensemble, or Enya in your case, to be able to dance with others, or dance in a studio and be able to see someone across from you? What are some things? Yes.
I think, like with anything, like with any kind of group and community, I think I've definitely found that with my dance community and with music as well, I think you become a family. And when you're separated from them, for such a long time, it almost feels very alien to be without seeing them for so long and everything. So I definitely miss, like you said, being with everyone and being able to see them every day, and that source of motivation that we provide each other with. And we all look to each other for inspiration and, I guess, encouragement in loads of different things. And yeah, suddenly when you're distanced from it, it feels very strange. But yeah.
Great.
So one thing for me, I think Adele, you kind of said it earlier, was that it's just when you're in that ensemble and you smile with one person across the room, it's the one bit that you really like. Is that I just a moment for me that I just really enjoy. I mean, especially I think orchestral playing is when it becomes most, I don't know, it just happens the most for me. You just got that whole feeling of every member of the orchestra really kind of going for it with you, and it's just something that you definitely can't do by recording online, and you've got no idea what anyone else is doing at that moment. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I agree with because I've been doing like online choir sessions, but it's part of, as you said, like part of the kind of learning process with like choir things is like learning how your part sounds in relation to like the other parts, and not being able to hear that with you it's less fun as well, because it's lovely to hear the harmonies, but also it's kind of sets you back a little bit.
I think the thing about family is completely true, what you said, Enya. I think you do miss being around family, but also I think it's that state of concentration which you can't find in any other. I don't know anything else what it's like, but with music making, when you're with other people and you all have to kind of tune into this one special magical wavelength, which is music, and you need to respond to each other, and it's a thing which transcends words and it transcends like normal human experiences. and it's such a special thing, and you all become one organism, and it's magical, and I really miss that. And that state of concentration where you can feel everything growing and progressing in time, because of course the beauty of music is that it exists in time. So I really miss that.
You know, actually, one more thing that you can't get online is it's in between rehearsals, and I don't know if you're like having like a whole day of rehearsals, and like you get a 5-minute break or something. Online, you can't do anything in like these massive meetings that we've got going, but when you're in, you just like that one conversation you've had with someone that you've never met before, who's in the orchestra, also enjoying everything that you're doing, has the same interests. That just like short conversation is just really nice, and it's just something that you can't get at the moment.
Mm. It makes you feel being able to talk with others in the orchestra and see them and be in their presence makes you feel more connected. Whereas I find when you're recording, you can still sort of recreate an artificial sense of that connection in the way you play, but you can't, it's not real because you can't, it's not tangible. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying because I'm kind of stammering now. But it's different when you're recording. You don't have like, I don't know how to describe this, but it's because you have a relationship with the person next to you and you've gotten to know them and you've gotten to know that they hate ice cream and they love bees for some funny reason, that you relate to them better when you play. Whereas if you're recording, because you've got empty space next to you, you don't see or know the person around you per se. You might know who they are, but at the same time you don't. It's just very different. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, actually, with regards to recording, and when you're just like sat there for however long trying to get a good take, by the end of it, your playing becomes so uninspired. I mean, personally, I feel so uninspired by the end of like recording one video. And I mean, as you said, I mean, you don't get that kind of personal relationship with anyone, and I think that kind of affects the performance as well and your playing. Because I think one thing, I mean, especially orchestra playing, it's feeling inspired by everyone around you. You just can't do that in recordings.
And like you said about the recording and everything, I think that we've all had to not learn, because I'm sure that we've all like recorded things before, but I think there's been a big sense that we've all had to learn to adapt very quickly to this new medium of music making, and the way that that's almost become the new normal.
Yeah.
So unnatural to have to. I mean, the recording is something, and also the culture in the slightly nefarious culture of music making that we have as students of kind of achieving perfection, and that, I mean, that is always a flip side, which is slightly dangerous in what we do. And the fact that actually, when you're in a performance, it's about the energy of a live performance, about the energy of the actual performance. But then when it becomes about actually getting all the notes right and being on the click and something, which is not what it should ever be about, the fear is that it becomes something else. And there was that, I find that lockdowns had kind of very set periods of, now we're going to do lots of this, putting everyone on the same screen and that, and everyone's doing this now, and everyone's doing this, and kind of trends, and you kind of adapt to those trends. But I think I was really worried about, because doing lots of videos of yourself and then you keep on making mistakes, and it's really not natural or organic to try and record yourself in that way. It's not what we're used to, and it kind of does help educate you about stuff in your playing that you weren't aware of, but also it's very off-putting, and I find as well.
I do have to agree with Danushka that by the time I've recorded something multiple times, at the end I'm so deflated, I'm so tired, and I just want it to be over. And it takes away from that liveliness and enthusiasm that you come to the music with at first. Because by the time you've gotten to that point, the music that you've grown to love while you're learning it, you sort of kind of hate it in a way. Not, you don't hate it, but you don't enjoy it as much anymore because it's sort of become like a task or like challenge you can't overcome, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So next question was, what musical or dance related activities have you guys been up to during lockdown?
With
Lots of playing in the garden.
How do your neighbours take that?
Well, actually, it's quite dangerous. The other night for supper, I don't know if we had some people around, and the father of the family plays in a string quartet, who were actually, though, approaching their very last concert. And we did Mendelssohn's Second Quintet, which is one of my absolute favourite pieces. I mean, it's like the octet that he wrote at the start of his life, and this is him right at the end of his life, kind of returning to the same things. And he's matured, and he's an adult, and I think it's an amazing piece. Anyway, but we were doing this, and we were very loud, noisy, and very bad, and we didn't get any neighbour problems. But that's recent. I found that throughout we've all had lots of, and kind of seen on Instagram, so many online concerts and stuff, and kind of school-related things coming in, and then kind of music college-related things coming in, and there's been lots of that. And also I did this short play thing with a few people from Purcell, and also a jazzer, who's my mentor, and which was just for fun, which I thought would be a project which would be able to do with the resources that we had and wouldn't be as difficult as kind of doing a playing project. It was a play I've written a while ago, and I got everyone to record their lines, and we did a couple of Zooms, and then I put it all together and wrote some music. So it's kind of been lots of music projects, lots of film projects, and bits and bobs, and getting down to the sea to do some more writing as well, and some composing. But I think it's hard to get, with all these electronic music projects, it's hard to actually do things for you because there's so much to do. I think you need to remember also to kind of follow your own path and do your own thing as well. I think it's quite easy to forget when there's so much kind of emails coming in and everything, do all these things.
Yeah.
I know I've obviously doing all these like lessons and choir sessions and practice, all of it's been online in my room with the windows open because it's summer, and my poor neighbours. My next door neighbour loves to be in his garden, doing like gardening and stuff, and he's always out there, and I feel sorry for him because I'm always singing and everybody's just there like, oh, is she ever gonna shut up? But I also I did an online, I don't know if anyone else has done a music exam online over lockdown, but I did that this week, and it was strange. It was quite good because the oral side of it, my singing teacher just assessed over time, but then the songs I could just record, and you can record as many times as you want. You have to record it all in one, but you can do as many takes as you want and choose the best one, which I think it's quite good. I think because if you make a mistake, you can do it again. But it was an interesting way of doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
The one big thing for me that I had Junior Academy actually. We carried on Saturdays, which was quite nice, online. We didn't have all our lessons. Obviously, orchestra would have been a bit of a shambles to try and put together online. But we had our chamber group. I had my lesson, and I had Alexander's technique. And actually, they all worked well. Surprisingly, chamber music you'd have thought would be quite difficult to do online, but we kind of just talked a bit more about music and listened to piano quintets because I'm in a piano quintet. So we did a lot of like discovering more piano quintets, which was quite nice. And another thing we did was we kind of played along with one person. So like everyone else would mute themselves, one person would play, and we'd play along with them, which was kind of nice because you got to know each individual part quite well, which you don't often get to actually do in person. It still wasn't the same, but it was quite a nice experience, I think. And aside from that, I think MYO is the other thing that we've done. We've had 3 online courses now, and that's involved. So we've had like a week of like online meetings and sectionals, and all leading up to the first 2 led up to like I don't know if anyone heard about this, but like doorstep performances in our communities, which is quite nice actually. And I got to play with I think 6 local musicians actually. We got together on one of our doorsteps, and it was really nice actually. It's first like proper ensemble music I've done in so long, and so that was a nice experience.
I think, well, because RCM JD, they also carried on online, and through that I was able to carry on having lessons, and I still had my aesthetics classes and my quartet lessons and everything like that. So it was really lovely to keep some form of normality and routine, I guess, as well. And I got to do some online performances, like performance platforms, which was really nice as well. And I think it just goes to show as well how much we thrive off communicating with an audience, and in a virtual sense, it's very different online, but it's something that's, I think, just the internet and technology in general has been one of the most incredible things throughout lockdown and throughout this quarantine period as such as a whole. But yeah.
Great. Sounds like you guys have all been incredibly busy. I'd say one of the things I've been doing during lockdown, I've been on some of these online MI courses, but which were amazing. But also the thing I think that stuck out the most was playing on Thursdays. You guys remember we used to clap on Thursday for the NHS. I feel like that it was interesting the way music managed to unite the neighborhood. Whereas people who I didn't know, who my neighborhood sort of, there's this street and then there's this street, and I didn't know anybody living on the, I was about to say vertical, but a bit vertical. Anyone on this street, I didn't know them, but as I started playing outside and playing with my sister, they started to come out the houses, and then I got to meet the people over there, and it just made the clapping more of a social event, but it also meant that the neighbors all got to know each other a lot better, which I think was also kind of one of the beauties of both music and lockdown, in that we were united by music and we also brought together by lockdown. But I do stray off topic, so let's move to the next question. Do you guys think we'll be able to play in ensembles and orchestras anytime soon?
I think it all depends, really. I think there are lots of deciding factors, but I hope so. I really hope so. What's lovely is I've been able to play in a quartet started rehearsals quite recently, and not online, actually in person, which has been very exciting. And we're gonna do like a mini performance just for like a very limited amount of people, and so I think little things like that, little chamber groups and things that are probably of a smaller size, where I guess some sort of distancing is possible. I think that those will probably go ahead sooner than larger scale things such as symphony orchestras. And even with dance classes right now, we're back at training, but we only have about 4 to a class maximum. So I think in terms of things getting back to playing with one another and, you know, being with one another, I think it will first go with very small scale things and then gradually work its way up. But yeah.
I think it's dangerous because everyone's music colleges are currently saying, from what I've heard, that kind of come January things will be okay. And I think as with everything throughout this whole bit, we kind of need to take one day at a time, because I think it's quite hard to know what's going to happen. I think there is hope. We are getting things together. And I think chamber music, yes, I did hear rumours about kind of plastic sheets between players, and it kind of makes your skin crawl. But I think there is hope that there will be things, but I think it will be slow, and I think there's no need to rush it. I think the world will come back together, and music can go into concerts and things, because you have, at the moment, we're in this kind of transitionary period where people are kind of doing things and some people aren't doing things, and we don't really know where we are and whether it's safe or not, and is there a second wave around the corner or is there not? And I think we've just got to see what happens. Plan things and hope that things will happen, but if they don't, there is a good enough reason why not, sadly.
I think anything that does happen, I mean, mostly will be to online audiences as well. For a while, I think, yeah, as Hugo said, I mean, there's an obvious reason for that, and I think the safety is very important. I mean, we don't want to be the reason that, I don't know, that we get a spike or anything, you know. Whereas other things might be going ahead and they might end up being the reason that we get a spike. But I think, yeah, online audiences and smaller ensembles might start, and actually have already started, and there have been some levels of like chamber orchestra playing, I think. But yeah.
Emily, what's going on in terms of choirs in the singing world? Do you know?
I think I'm not 100% sure. I think they're still basically saying that, because it's seeing like all the air particles, so it's kind of, they're still trying to keep that kind of thing online. If I'm being honest, I don't 100% know. My choir hasn't said that they're coming back into offline sessions yet. We're still carrying on online, but I think as has been kind of mentioned, it's kind of just taking it a step at a time and see how things are going, really.
Cool. So the next question I had was, how do you think things will be different when we do get back together, and how do you think those differences will affect the way we make music as a unit?
I think we've at some point already touched on it, but I think our appreciation for all this being able to make music with each other will definitely grow. I know mine will. I'd never ever thought something like this would happen. It was just never on my mind, and I think the thought that could happen again at any point will kind of make a lot of us really kind of appreciate what's going on in the moment. And yeah, I think I'm just looking forward to being able to play with each other again, whenever that may be.
Most definitely agree with that one.
I know. Before lockdown, every Saturday when it was time to go to choir, I was like, I don't really have the energy. It kind of felt a bit like a chore, and now I'm just like, I really want to go back to choir and sing with people.
Yeah. I guess it all goes back to that deep sense of appreciation for things that we may have taken for granted before.
Yeah.
I think that goes for a lot of things, actually, like putting music aside. So many things that we would have taken for granted before that is going to change, hopefully.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's a really good time, I think, that positive change can happen. I mean, I was saying this throughout, and the problem is that as a world, we always kind of get wrapped up with something else to worry about, and we don't actually think about the change. But actually, I think this could be an incredible kind of pivot point where so many things we can work out and actually approach, and issues and things, because everyone is, well, they're not really sitting around, but many of us are sitting around ready to kind of make a change and are up for doing things. And I think many people have missed culture, and it's really shown visibly. And I think people will really appreciate it when everything happens. But things will be different, but people will accept that as well, I think. But hopefully it will be a really good time where lots of things will change that need to change.
Yeah, inspiring points.